Hello, my name's Diane and I'm going to teach you the art of poi. Here are some different types of poi. We have a bag poi made from plastic bags, paper and string. Easy to make at home. A fluoro poi or UV poi has long tails. They glow under the UV ultraviolet light. The idea behind the tails is they're very effective and they also help you learn nice and true, very straight. They're excellent for learning. Then we have fire poi made of Kevlar wick. They're available on chain or wire. Now we have the beaming poi, which is what I'm going to be using today. They're great for day use. Nice bright colours, yellow and orange. They're excellent under the UV. Or at night in the pitch black, you can turn the batteries on and you get lovely laser light effects. Before you start your poi, you should do some warm-up exercises. Just a couple of short warm-ups that I do. Nice big stretches like this. Just to get the blood going and fill your lungs up nicely. It's always a really good idea to give your wrists a good shake. Most of the poi work that we do is using the wrist action, so it's really good to get them nice and flexible. To stretch the legs a little, it's a nice one, easy one, just to stretch like that. Hold the back of your ankle and bring it up towards your buttocks. The other leg. Do this a few times till you're nice and stretched. Now I'm going to show you how to hold your poi. Firstly, ensure the length of your poi is no longer than your arm, like so. Must fit under the armpit there. Now you can hold onto your poi in a number of ways. Firstly, you can hold it on just your index finger like so. Secondly, you put 3 fingers through the poi and then lower the middle finger. Pull it nice and tight and you've got a good fist grip. A lot of children find it easier to hold the poi like so. Once again, the most complicated one is the 3 grip, middle finger down, nice and tight. That is the most secure way to hold your poi. Now let's get comfortable swinging our poi. Firstly, we swing forward, overarm in equal time. Notice how I'm using my hands and my wrists to push the air, grasp the air. I've got my fingertips and my palms facing forward. If my poi are coming together like this, meeting in the middle, crossing over, take note of my wrists. Notice how my wrists are up, facing upward, or they're pointing together, or they're pointing outward. To get your poi nice and straight, push your palms and your wrists forward. Once you're comfortable with this, stop and scoop backwards. When you move your poi backwards, you scoop the air, lift it up each time you go round. It's palms and fingertips up, and you're pushing it directly back. Once again, if your poi are crossing or meeting in the middle, like so, it's because you haven't got your palms facing the right way. So scoop it up. Okay, now that you're comfortable with that, go back to forwards, equal time. Once you've got equal time, you can split them into opposite directions. See that? Splitting them into opposite directions. And back to equal time. Now, of course, try that backwards. Nice and smoothly, equal time and split. Opposite time and split. And back to equal timing. Moving your poi forward now. You can stretch in opposite timing. It's usually easier to start. You can stretch your arms forward like this. Opposite timing. Back to equal timing. Backwards. Scoop the air backwards. Equal timing. Opposite timing. And split. Practice these moves until you're familiar with them, relaxed and comfortable. Now you're ready for the butterfly, which looks like this. Now to get into the butterfly, the easiest way is to swing your poi from stop, forward, overarm. Swing your poi overarm like that. Put your arms out in front of you, checking that you've got your wrists swinging nicely. Now you ready? Turn your hands over, your palms and your fingertips up towards the sky. Notice that my palms are pointing back towards me, my fingertips are pointing towards the sky. Now this is an optical illusion. One hand sits on the wrist of the other. If your poi knock together when you're coming into the butterfly, it's because you're not putting one arm out like that. One arm must swing in front of the other. If they tangle, it's usually because your left or your right hand, if you're right-handed, it's usually your left hand is a little bit like this. Notice how it's sort of going a little bit wobbly and round. And my left hand is pointing down. Make sure my fingertips, your fingertips and your wrists and your palms are all pointing back and up towards you. Got that one? Now practice that so you've got a nice, easy rhythm. The next step is the giant butterfly. From here it's really simple. I find it helps if you bend your knees a little and stretch. Bend your knees a little and stretch. Practice this until it's flowing nicely. Make up your own rhythms. Make sure you've got your butterfly nice and tight. Your wrists are nice and tight together. It's not out like this. If you find that you're in this position, just keep pressing your wrists together. Look at your hands and look at your wrists. Now that you've got this nice and smooth, you're ready now for the alternate butterfly. The alternate butterfly looks like this. One hand goes straight back past your ear, past the ear of the same shoulder. Now, usually it's easier to start that with one poi. So starting in the center of your body, swing the poi around. Make sure that you have your hand and your palm and your wrist facing back towards you. Okay, now that you've got that nice and straight, you take your hand back over the same shoulder. Now everybody wants to go like this. It's the same shoulder. So if I move my right hand, it goes over my right shoulder. You leave it straight back, move it straight back, and just let it flop and flop. Notice my hands flopping behind me. Now that you have that one nice and smooth, change hands. Learn it with your left hand. So my left hand goes back over my left shoulder. Nice and tight. It's not out there like that. It's nice and tight like that. In behind my head. Now that you have both of those poi moving nicely, it's ready to join them together. Back into the butterfly, into that from a forward swing, wrists over, into the butterfly. Now, straight back and pump. Straight back and pump. So it looks like this with a beat in between, or like this with no beat in between. This one is called the Mexican wave. You can do it out wide like so, and tight like so. Out wide and tight. Okay, so now we have the overhead butterfly. So far we've got the butterfly, the giant butterfly, the alternate butterfly, and the Mexican wave. Now we have the overhead where both hands go straight back and over your head. It's important that you keep your wrists locked together, and flop your wrists. The most common mistake here is usually that people just stop. Get your hands behind your head and stop. So now that you've got these moves, practice them nicely, get the flow nice, So we've got the overhead butterfly, we've got the Mexican wave, the alternate butterfly, the regular butterfly, and the giant butterfly. Now let's move on to a totally new formation. This is when both poi move in the same direction. We're going to be doing chasing the sun, the tuck turn, the low turn, and the high turn. To start with chasing the sun, remember to learn these moves in both directions and turning to the left and turning to the right. Now for chasing the sun, swing overarm, poi nice and straight. Now if you step, lunge and put both poi in front of your body. In front. So when it's down low, it's in front of your body, and when it's up high, it's behind your body. Stretch in, stretch in. To the right and to the left. Now moving on to the turning formations. Forward, hands nice and low by your hips. It's swing, swing, stop. Let me show you that one again. It's swing, swing, stop. It's a hesitation, a pause. Swing, swing, stop. So your hands go behind your back as you turn. It's an optical illusion. The poi don't actually change direction, but you do. So it gives the illusion, no, my poi are going backwards, forward. So it's swing, swing, stop. 1, 2, and. 1, 2, and. Now, to do the high turn from backwards, notice I'm scooping the air with my poi. So it's the same thing, except you put your hands above your head. So it's swing, swing, and. Back again. Backward. It's swing, swing, and. Let's slow that down a bit. 2 swings or 3 swings. 1, 2, and. It's like you've got a big rod between your hands. You have to keep your hands perfectly the same distance apart. So it's backward, forward, up high, on the forward one, down low, up high, down low, up high, down low. Once you have this move nice and smooth, it's easy to just leave your hand at your hips both times. That's how you do the low turn. So the high turn is like this, from the backward formation, hands up high. The low turn, they just stay at the hip. See that? Okay, now we'll move on to the tuck turn, where you put both hands on one side of your body. See that? Both hands, one side of the body. Both poi are moving in equal time, and you just tuck them under your arm. Tuck, tuck, tuck. These moves all flow together. Remember, when turning, you can turn halfway, 180 degrees, or you can turn right round for 360, as fast or as slow as you like. Remember, if you're going fast, you'll probably become dizzy. Practice these until you have them nice and smooth. Another formation is the corkscrew. Looks like this. Both poi are still moving in the same direction. Now, to get into the corkscrew, the easiest way is to hold both poi to one side of your body. I'm holding mine to my left, so now I step to the right and swing. Back again and swing. Now, one hand goes up while the other hand is down. So watch my left hand goes across my head. Watch that again. Some people like to swing twice like that. So swing them both and then lift one up. Notice the positioning of my wrists. See my hands are turning over. And the corkscrew action. And do the corkscrew in front of you like this. One each side. And for the really advanced, you can do two together. This is where it's really important to make sure that your poi are the right length. Now remember to learn everything both ways. So hold your poi to the right and step to the left. Swing and back. Just like so. Now, advancing on to the weave formations. This is the forward weave. When I turn, it becomes the backward weave. Turn, stop halfway in between. So overhead weave. Turn, back into the forward weave. Now, to learn these formations, just start with one poi. Hold your hand out nice and level like this. Swing forward, overarm. Now, my right hand, that's this one, goes over my left. It goes under and out. Over, under, out. Over, under, out. Once you can do this, then move on to just one swing. Over, under, out. Over, under, out. The most common thing that people like to do is this. Do not move your poiless hand. Over, under, out. Over, under, out. When you can do this without thinking, when it's got nice flow, you can do it while you're singing a song. Change hands. Hold your right arm out. Move your left hand over, under, out. 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 Another good way to think of this is keeping your wrists together. My wrist moves over and under. Can you see that? When you've got nice flow with this hand also, you're ready to move on to two poi. So, starting usually with the strongest hand. It goes over, under, out. Over, under, out. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. Now it doesn't change. It just keeps doing that forever and ever. This hand, however, when it first comes in, it only does half a beat on the first turn. So when it first comes in, it goes 1, 1, 1, 2, 1. So it goes under. It doesn't go over first, it goes under, out. under, out, over, under, out. So this one, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. 2 on the cross, 1 on the open. 2 on the cross, 1 on the open. Okay, this one goes 1, 1, 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. Okay, so watching closely. 1, 2, 1. Over, under, out. Now I want you to watch my left hand. The left hand goes under before it goes over, under, out. Let me show you again. It goes under. One, two, one. 1, 2, 1. So it comes in now, now, now. When you're just going into the open. Over, under, out. Over, under, out. Now. Now. Are you ready? Under, over, over, under. Did you catch that? So stretch it in. That's the forward weave. When you first start, you'll find that your arms are usually out like this, and it's a little bit tacky. As you become more practiced, you get more flow, and your wrists come in nice and tight together like that. Now from here, if you turn slowly in one direction, you can make a 360-degree circle. And back to the original starting point. Now remember that this one stroke on either side is not the weave. It's a 3 count. It's 1, 2, 1. It's a 3-beat rhythm. Now, to move into the backward weave, it's the opposite. Everything is totally opposite. So, you move your arms backward, scoop ear. Now remember, it's the same thing. It's the backward weave. So, instead of going over, under, out, it's under, over, out. With me? 1 poi at a time. Hold your arm out and go. Under, over, out. Under, over, out. Under, over, out. As soon as you've got a nice rhythm with that, move into 1 beat each side. Under, over, out. Under, over, out. Under, over, out. Got it? Under, over, out. Same thing with the left hand. We're swinging backward, scoop the ear, hold your hand out, and it's under, over, out. Under, over, out. Exactly the same thing. Everything is completely backwards. So when you've got your 2 poi, it's under, over, out. Over, under, out. Now that you can do this, the backward weave, same thing. It'll probably be like this at the beginning. And really throw those hands into it. Use your hands and your wrist to scoop the air. Pull it back towards yourself. Okay, so now that you've got the forward and the backward weave, there is the overhead weave. Okay, so forward, backward. Now as you're turning from backward back into forward, if you stop halfway, you get the overhead weave. So now you've learnt 3 weave formations. Now the forward weave, nice and tight like this, down low, up high, down low. You can make a nice rolling effect. You can stretch out of it and back into it. Turn backwards. From here you can stretch and back into it. Now let's move on to the advanced butterfly moves. We have thread the needle, one each way, and the one-handed butterfly. Now, from these moves, here we go. Butterfly, you take your top hand, keep it nice and straight in the centre of your body. Take your top hand and slide it down. So the top hand comes up to your shoulder. Bring it up, slide it down. Bring it up, push, push, push. It's a real twisting, shrugging motion, and your palms are in opposite directions. One palm is up, while the other palm is pushing down. So from the butterfly, the top hand comes up and pushes. Ready? The top hand, push, push. This one looks particularly effective, like that. Moving on to one each way. It's important that you start nice and square, like so. Get your butterfly nice and straight and tight. Now, turn your feet and your hips, keeping your shoulders square. Turn them this way. Look behind your shoulder and put your hand there. And back. Let me show you from behind. From the butterfly, I'm nice and square and straight. Turn, I look over my shoulder, I make a space, I watch, and I put my hand there. And back. Another nice way to learn is just using one poi. So using one poi, turn. Now what happens, often people get their poi back there like that, but forget to keep the other one moving. So as soon as you've got that action, nice and smooth, practice straight away and focus on keeping that poi there in front, moving. Okay, from here, you can stretch. See, this poi is going backwards, and this one is going forwards. So it looks like this. From here you can also turn. Once you've got this flowing really nicely, practice turning your hand over, like that. See that? Palm up, nice and tight. At first, it's stretch and straight. Once you can do that, turn right around and put that hand in behind your back. See that? Wrist upside down. It is also possible to do the butterfly in one hand. To do this manoeuvre, you open the gap between your little finger and the one next to it. Wriggle your other hand out onto the index finger and slide it in and back. To get out of the one-handed butterfly, it's much easier if you stretch. Stops them from getting tangled. So slide it in. And stretch it out. You now have the foundation moves to create your own rhythm and dance. You're only limited by your imagination. So let's see what our experts can do. So go hard and have fun. Beaming poi is the last type of poi we're showing you today. They're great for day use and excellent under the UV camera, under the UV light. Battery powerful, la 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 la. Stretch your arms, your legs like so. The backs of your legs, we have to do that again, don't we? Sorry.